Today was a mother effer. Effer.
I'm sorry.
Effer.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's not your fault that it was a mother effer. It just had to be. I needed a few of me in a few different places at every moment today. And everything happened at the same time, and everything was dependent on other things, and it was just like, it was an organizational total, not really total disaster, because things happened. Your son went skiing. His new boots are great. He enjoyed it. He had a good time. We managed to troubleshoot some of the things done. We still have to fix a printer. And Sally managed to make dinner for the kids who decided that they didn't want dinner. Of course, which is, I wouldn't think it would ever be any other way. And we've got a whole bunch of other things, little things done here and there.
I renewed your license.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, I mean, well, that's the difference between an arrest and not an arrest. So.
I know. And I'm now like spooked when I see cars like close behind me, because that car a couple months ago in Merrimack followed me for like 2 miles before he hit the blues. It's like, yeah, it's ridiculous. By the way, some new heroes. This guy, Mr. Bessent, the new Treasury guy. Mm-hmm. First of all, the guy is fantastic. He's fantastic. He's brilliant. He reminds me of a professor almost, whose grasp of like economics. He destroyed all these nominees are doing so well in Congress. It's just so freaking great. So that was a morning part of the day.
I'm gonna turn off the scene switcher because something's wrong. These cameras keep
okay.
falling apart. Is there?
Yes.
Can I just ask one question?
Please.
Where, like, do we have more plugged into that than usual, than we used to?
Maybe.
Like, did we change a layout or something?
It's possible that my camera is not usually plugged into that.
Oh.
It's usually plugged into a red thing down there, I think. But let's not worry about it. Whatever works at this point.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have to fix it because I don't think it can't do multiple cameras into one thing at the same
morning
time.
with so anyway, watching the hearings were great, and it was wonderful. That said, the phones cracked the moment I started on my radio show, so it was really 3 hours of no phone calls. Here's no phone calls in a radio show. It can be done. The thing that makes it tough for you is that you thought you'd be taking calls, and then you're suddenly not, and it changes how you have to do the show totally. It's like 3 hours of no phone calls is 3 hours of running the ball, a bang bang running the ball, running plays, and it's excruciating. It's it's not excruciating. I'm saying it can be more.
Why is that so echoey?
I don't know. Is this thing? 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 Is this thing?
I'll stop asking questions.
So anyway, so usually in like having callers is more like a passing game where you have more time to sit back and they do some of the whatever. So yes, it took more out of me than I thought it would. Didn't get to do a food show today. I'm gonna have to change my schedule so I do a food show today. But I was just absolutely lifted up, as you would say, to be lifted up by how good these people have done. It's interesting. So this guy Bessent, who's going to be the what's it called? What's the thing called? Treasury. Yes. He was so good and eloquent that Chris Murphy, the senator from Connecticut, who's just a hack whore who wants to be president, he's just about photo ops, etc., said this is so embarrassing for our nation. The incoming Secretary of Treasury doesn't seem like he knows what Medicaid is. What a cluster F, and he uses the word F. Mm-hmm. The idea that these guys, by the way, can't stand how good that this guy Bennett did.
Bessent.
Bessent, yes, thank you. Shows you just how good he is. All of these nominees are running circles around these senators, and now I seriously believe that these senators have no reason to be anymore.
They've mailed it in. They're done.
They've mailed it. They don't know what they're or who they're supposed to be anymore. Mm-hmm. They're out of stuff. Here's Raphael Warnock going after him.
Fiscally responsible.
Oh, sorry.
We need to work to close the deficit.
Yep, that's par for the course. Hold on. Listen to this. Here's Raphael Warnock, who's not the dumbest senator, by the way, by far.
I think we need to be fiscally responsible. We need to work to close the deficit and bring the national debt under control. In 2013, Congress extended the Bush tax cuts for everyone except those making more than $400,000 a year. This bipartisan decision saved the Treasury $600 billion, helping to narrow the deficit. Do you agree that ending the tax cuts for those making more than $400,000 would help close the deficit and reduce our national debt?
Senator Warnock, I do not. I believe that you would capture an inordinate amount of small business people who largely are in that cohort of 400,000 to a million.
So you wouldn't cut it off at 400,000. What about $1 million?
That, again, I believe these are small business pass-through owners, and I believe that we, as I said before, Wall Street's done great. It is time for Main Street to do well, and small businesses need to drive what I call the reprivatization here away from this government spending.
I agree that it's Main Street's time. I'm from Atlanta, so I'll say Peachtree and some other locations in my state. What about those making more than 10 million? Would we reduce the deficit by extending those tax cuts for folks making about $10 million?
So again, I think it's important that we put in incentives for them to invest. So going back to the 100% depreciation for equipment, that I think that.
And I don't mean to keep interrupting, but I'm the pastor, and we're known to be loquacious of speech, but I'm running out of time here. What about $1 billion?
So again, that I think that these are the job creators.
So there's no income level for which you would support raising taxes. Is that fair?
There is no income level that I don't think we should continue the TCJA as it was.
I think we need.
I have no problem with this guy being a absolute free market believer. I have no problem in it whatsoever.
Well, and the truth is, the only real way out of the deficit is to grow our way out of the deficit.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yes.
Like, I mean, we need to get bigger as a country and more productive and have more jobs and more people working and all those good things. I don't know. There is sort of, and there are definitely people on the right who are guilty of this too. Like a small-minded mindset of, well, I should get mine kind of out of the government and, screw the rich people. And people on the right do this too, including about like to balance the budget or whatever it is, right? That people have a sense that somebody's getting something and that means you're not getting that thing.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
That like money that we spend on XYZ is money the government could be giving to deserving people like me.
Absolutely. And
the problem is that everybody feels that they're a deserving person like me. And there's never enough to go around, and somebody else always gets screwed. And the only real way to end up in a surplus and end up with more money than you need is to grow the pie.
Right.
And that way there's more for everybody. And people get mad at the trickle-down economics metaphor, and people get mad when you say that a rising tide lifts all boats. But it is true. When the country does better, when things grow, when businesses grow, when people are successful, it makes everybody more successful. And that sounds cheesy, but it's true.
Well, I think that people, and this is the old style Democrats who I used to talk to. The pro-union Democrats believe that there's a simple binary. You're either George Bailey or you're Mr. Potter.
Right.
And Mr. Potter got his, he got his, but it was by hook or by crook, and it was dirty money, and he's whatever.
We should tax the Potters to pay for the Baileys.
Exactly, and the martinis and whoever else was, not rich in that. And so that I think that they look at things and they say, okay, I work for the Marriott Hotel now, which I did when I was 22 years old, and you say, oh, why does Bill Marriott, who is the CEO of the hotel, the owner of the Marriott, like, why does he get to have $4 billion and Tom Shattuck doesn't have anything?
Right.
But in like truth, Bill Marriott gave me several jobs in hotels where I made enough money so I could mess around in my 20s in being a band and flexibility and growth options and all sorts of but without this, like all
right. And I don't know, there was a very fascinating debate going around Twitter the last few days where people were talking about it made a bunch of news because a bunch of restaurant jobs now pay quite significant salaries. I think we covered this on the food podcast at one point when like Chipotle managers can make over $100,000.
Yes.
And some of these other ones, Panda Express that now has salaries over $70,000 for some of their managers and stuff. And there are, believe it or not, people on Twitter who are mad about this. Who are saying,
totally,
hey, why are you telling me I should go get a job at Panda Express? Like, this isn't anyone when the country's putting me down and making me work at Panda Express, and who cares that the salary's a little higher than it was? Well, because you live in the greatest country on the earth, and if a job at Panda Express pays $70,000, then you're living a pretty good life. I mean, I know not a great life, and I know there's inflation and all this stuff, but like, that's pretty good that people who work restaurant jobs can earn those kinds of salaries. You get two people in a house making a salary like that, and it's not, Daddy Warbucks living, but like you can buy a house in a lot of parts of the country and stuff.
Well, of course.
And I think there's this like weird sense of I deserve more and not a sense of like, wow, America's pretty great that they're paying people $70,000 to work at Panda Express now.
Oh, totally. And I think that we have been propagating this idea for quite a while. If you even look at the show Friends, which is a big Gen X show, right? Probably the flagship Gen X show. They all you never saw them toiling. You knew they had jobs. Jennifer Aniston,
theoretically.
Rachel, served coffee, and Monica did cooking, whatever. Joey was an unemployed actor, whatever. But most of their life was socializing and living in incredibly expensive apartments somehow, etc.
Right.
And the idea was that, like, you could just, if you nominally did something, and I'm guilty of this myself. I got a degree in I got a certificate in web design and development. So I could do some of the design. After design, I fell off. There was no development that was going to be happening. But I grabbed all the accoutrements. My brother, I had what was that called? ThinkPad or whatever. The thing where the pad from the 90s. You guys remember in the early 2000s. Quick Pro, I don't know what it was, but everybody had one at one point. It came with the stylus.
Palm Pilot?
Palm Pilot, exactly. And my brother got that for me because, I could use that for organization, this and that, whatever. And I looked the part. I was like, I was good looking back then, thin, I dressed stylish, whatever. And I was just kind of expecting, now I'm a web designer. I'd like the living that comes with being a web designer. But I wasn't talented, and I didn't do an inch of work at all.
Right.
But like even still, you just fall into this. Like, doesn't somebody?
Well, and all the people who get told to go to college have the same feeling. Like, I shouldn't have to work at Chipotle. Even if people who work at Chipotle make $100,000, they're like, wait, I shouldn't have to work at Chipotle. I have an important degree, and I should be doing X, Y, Z.
Totally.
And there is an element of this to some of the criticisms, for example, of the H-1B program, and I have a lot of mixed feelings about that, and I think in general it's not the program isn't what it's cut out to be. But I do think from some people there is an element of jealousy. Like, you're taking my job.
Oh yeah.
I deserve to have that.
But also I want to go just to the merit of the thing. Remember, my certificate was from BU, web design and development. The web design stuff was the fun stuff. Macromedia Flash back then,
Yeah.
And Photoshop and Image Ready. That was the fun stuff. It's stuff I loved. When it started to be database stuff and what's that called? SQL? That's SQL server stuff, right?
Yeah.
And all that stuff was no longer fun.
Right.
But of course, that's the stuff you get paid for, because everybody can have fun on Photoshop. When it gets hard and arduous, like the stuff from Tommy does, right? Isn't Tommy from New
He
Hampshire?
does IT, yeah.
IT. When it comes to, well, you do this right now. When it comes to coding stuff and lines of code, etc.
No, you're gonna give me a trigger.
No, I know. I'm just saying, it's like as soon people pay you for the hard stuff,
Right.
and I think we have this feeling here that it's as simple as just having the veneer of having a little whiff of college certificate around you. Come to me. Yes, you may have me, and I'll play. I'll play the role of somebody in Love Actually in that marketing place where everybody was hooking up together, where everybody's
Right.
dressed well and nobody knows what anybody does in their laptop, but they have a great life. But it's like
It's like the Lindsay Lohan rom-com. I work in business.
totally.
Will you help me with my business plan for my
Yes.
business that I want to start doing business things?
Right
Like-
here, I drew it up. Right here, I put together a very clever deck. It's out of the box. Oh, totally. And I think the sadly enough, is that you get the more fruitful you will be is dependent upon how hardworking you are and how much you sacrifice. So, like while I was thrilled that Bill Marriott got me a job working in a Marriott hotel so I could be a valet, front office, doorman, etc., making enough money to live so that I could go party when I was 23. Bill Marriott, when he was at 23, was not partying.
Right.
He was a serious human being.
But I think more to the point, too, is it's like, yes, friends created a false expectation of the lifestyle one could lead while working a job that's essentially like a slacker job. And I think that all young people essentially have bought into this idea that you like go to work and then you can have a nice apartment like things look like on TV. But like young people don't anymore even think they should have to have like roommates. Have you noticed that? None of them think they should have to live with like 4 other people.
Yeah.
None of that is happening. And it's weird because not only do none of them think that they should have to like have roommates and live with other people, but there's like a lack of historical perspective. Like I see these Gen Z conservatives usually posting these Twitter. I mean, sometimes like the DSA socialists and stuff too, but it seems to be all young people posting these memes about like, oh, well, in the 50s, like one income, you could have a house and 2 cars and go on vacation twice a year and all this. Like, do people have any idea how much harder life was in the 1950s? Like how much poorer people were?
No, I don't think people do. But and poorer and a bleep more frugal.
Yeah, a lot more frugal, a lot fewer appliances. A lot of people like wouldn't have a dryer and would hang out laundry. Like, I mean, maybe you had 2 cars. You didn't have smartphones and cable packages and like all these things. And I see people complain about that, like, ooh, my phone is better, but I live in the hovel. Okay, yeah, but you could choose not to have the fancy phone, but you want it. So, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't have that in the 1950s. Like, a lot of our expenses nowadays are things that people in the 1950s didn't even have. So, if you want to go live like people did in the 1950s, then
Right.
You're more than welcome to. I mean, our house right here had an outhouse in the 1940s. So, like, people who are alive now remember when this house had an outhouse and they told us about it.
Oh, totally.
So, I mean, like, which is great. Like, I do think it's awesome that we in our society can now expect to have indoor plumbing as a condition of just being an American.
Well, yeah, and just think technology-wise how things have changed. I mean, you guys in the chat now remember, rabbit ears on TVs, 3 stations really, 2 UHF stations, Channel 2, which was magically perfect because the government was subsidizing it, and then the 3 other stations. And now it's like you can conjure everything up now. It's amazing to me. Well, I want to get back to Bessent.
No, and I think that this is like the key point is even though the Biden years have sucked and have definitely set people back from where their expectations were pre-COVID, and the inflation obviously was bad. Like we definitely struggled during the Biden era too, for sure, for multiple reasons. But overall, we're luckier to live in the United States of 2025 than any other era in human history. It's only going to get better with Trump at the helm of the nation. But in general, like, I would not trade going back to the 1950s. Would you?
No.
Do you feel that people were more prosperous then?
No, I mean,
They
there
sure
was a
didn't-
prosperous time because the rest of the world was burning embers. So, our net, exports were through the roof because nobody had anything. But no, the 50s was a volatile time as well. Of course. But, there are the style was better then. So this guy, speaking of style, this guy Bessent is so, first of all, he's got the best haircut in Washington. And I want you to listen. They ask him about this is his third try at public service that he mentions. And I saw this today and I thought it was really touching. Okay, it's one of those days. Here we go. Unplug.
Julian Miller saying they use an empty cardboard box for a TV. I remember at one point when I was a kid, did you ever have Connects?
I don't know what that is. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like toys that you can build together.
We had like an erector set.
Kind of like that, yeah.
Kinda like
so
that.
like Connects, and you can snap them together. And we had a kit that had a
crap.
motor in it. And
Well, hold on.
well, I can still talk, right? I'm still getting my audio into
they
the
ask him
chat.
about this is his third try at public service that he mentions, and I saw this today, and I thought it was really touching. Okay, start right there, record right there. Hold on, all the Connect stuff is lost to history, Alice. Hold on,
Okay,
we'll
it's
get
not
back
lost to the chat. We're all here.
we'll get back to it. This is very important, and it's not working. Hold on, Here we go. This is gonna knock us off again. Okay. No.
Okay.
That's not what I
Nope.
need. No. Hold on. Oh, fucking day. Okay. Can we do this?
My hair gets knocking and banging things around.
Okay. Let's try this again. Consider Pro 2 main stereo. Okay. Also main stereo. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna hit okay. Public service that he mentions, and I saw this today, and I thought it was really touching. Okay. We're at really 5, 4. No. That's not where we are. Man, you're getting me your money's worth with this Patreon.
I can't. Well, this is an everybody episode, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't do that.
You didn't
I
do
have no
that?
idea what I did. Okay, ready?
I don't know what
Watch
you
this.
did either.
You're about to hear it. You're about to hear the audio of this guy Bessent, Alice, touching stuff. But you're about to hear it through the speakers here, through this roadcaster.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. You can talk. We're not going to hear it. It's not there.
I can send you the audio from this episode afterwards. I'm
I-
getting all this.
The thing is this is supposed to be a audio heavy burn barrel because that's what I've been working on is audio heavy stuff. So hold on,
Well-
pull this out. Let me just put this over here.
Should I talk about my Connects then?
Let's see if this works. Okay. Okay, here we go. Watch this. Hold on. Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna love this audio. He's really, really impressive. This guy is quite something else. Quite something. Okay.
Oh, dear.
I'm done. So, anything else going on?
Well, I was going to tell you about my Connects because Julian Miller was saying we had a cardboard box as a TV. And when I was a kid, I, quote, made a TV with the Connects and a cardboard box and paper towel rolls. And I made like a long strip of paper that I like drew different pictures on and it went around the paper towel rolls. And then there was a little motor with gears that turned the paper towel rolls so that you saw like a it pulled it by, it was a cardboard box and the front of it was cut out like a TV. And then the paper went from one paper towel roll to roll onto the other one with the motor.
Oh, not
so
bad.
You could see like a changing scene of stuff.
Not bad.
It was pretty cool.
That's great.
I was a very fun kid.
That's great.
As you can see.
By the way,
We had real TV too.
this
and
guy
I still
Bessent
did
is
that.
a gay guy.
Is he?
Yes, he's a gay guy who's married to a guy who has kids. And this is his first job. So doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, okay. So there's that. This we can't listen to. 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 And this we can't listen to. I'm going to sit here and drink. So go ahead. Anything else going on? Oh, I don't mean to stick it to you. I'm just angry.
I mean, I was talking before this, and you
Oh, yeah.
interrupted to yell at me and then say what's going on.
I take
So-
that back completely. I will talk about your connects left and right. I actually am kind of impressed.
Did you ever invent a TV as a kid?
I never invented a TV. I'm trying to think. Did I invent anything good? No, I copied my brother. My brother was the guy who knew how to do stuff. He did all sorts of like fun and interesting stuff, and using gravity and magnetics and this and that. But he famously disassembled. Is that the word? Disassembled? Disassembled our VCR in 1986 to check it out to see how it worked, and it never got itself reassembled. So that was a gut shot, which is just absolutely hurt. So there was that. But other than that, yeah, no, he was the guy who did all this stuff. I was not the guy who did all this stuff.
Said during his farewell address,
Media!
he warned
Oh my God! Oh my God! This is Jim Acosta.
How did you get it back?
I don't know, and I don't want to know.
Maybe it took patience for a second.
I don't want to know,
years ago.
like, what
She
the
carried
thing
it
I
here
wasn't
at a
doing the
march,
whole
in
time, like
Washington.
fading
She
it
wrote
up.
on the back of the sign to me and the press here in D.C. I want
Jim,
to take a moment to
shut
talk
the-
about something.
Okay, this
You
is Jim
have our
Acosta.
support.
Since
I want
he,
to take a moment.
Jim Acosta makes it
Nora,
about him.
wherever
Shut the
you
fuck
are.
up! Jim Acosta makes this about
Why are
him.
you in a high dudgeon?
You don't have any idea. Any idea. There's not a toilet I went near today when I walked in a bathroom that didn't need plunging. There was not a dog that didn't need to go out. There was not a threatening driveway that I'd almost took a header on. There was nothing. There was no quarter today. There was not a moment during my radio show that the phones worked, even though I could see all the callers calling, and they were texting me and DMing me saying, I'm trying to call. There's not a moment where I wasn't told engineering's on it, and they're rebooting the system. Holy frig. Booting the system. Holy frig. I did the run like I was supposed to do to get all the stuff. You know what tells you that you've hit rock bottom? Or no, close to rock bottom. Is it like there was a run on CPAP water too today? So I'm trying to get CPAP water. I'm like, freaking world. This is Jim Acosta.
I want to take a moment to talk about something President Biden said during his farewell address. He warned the free press is crumbling in this country. I would add that's only if we, the people, let that happen. Journalists exist to seek the truth, to tell people's stories, to lift up voices that may not be heard otherwise.
You need to be bitch slapped until you flatline if you say to lift up voices and you're a man. Jim Acosta now, as Stephen Miller said, you're sorry your vacation is over, Jim. Oh, Trump's coming in. Biden warned about the oligarchs last night. Did you hear any of that?
Oh, yeah, I did see the oligarchs.
The oligarchs are coming. You know, they're corrupt. They hang out with billionaires and all this stuff. It was so ridiculous.
To shine a light on injustice and to hold the powerful accountable.
Can you imagine that? To shine a light on injustice and to hold the powerful accountable? It's a guy who spiked the Hunter Biden story like everybody else did. These guys are all spiking all the stories about all of the FBI incursions into Trump's first presidency, all the crooked crap, all of these. This guy is a POS, and it's fine.
Well, and it's funny because on the same note as like the prosperity stuff, the same as people mention about like how much worse life has become and how you can't support a family anymore these days on one salary and all this stuff. Like the same thing is true about the media. There's more access to information today in 2025 than there ever has been in human history. Most people throughout human history have believed all kinds of misinformation and fake news and fake stuff and just didn't know anything at all about anything, about why anything happened across the world. Now you can know what's happening all over the earth at any moment in time by going on the internet.
Totally.
And now yes, there are people who go out here and say crazy stuff that aren't saying stuff that's true, but there's like a complete ecosystem of people who are able to also debunk it for you if you want. Or you can go believe whatever you want too. But that's always been the case. It's always been the case that there's been, quote, misinformation out there. Right? There's no need to crack down because more people are talking. And it's just funny that to these people, the First Amendment has somehow come to mean we need the government to coordinate with Facebook to keep people from saying stuff.
Oh, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
It's the opposite of the First Amendment. And it's funny because they act like the founders, they try and do the same thing with the First Amendment that they do with the Second Amendment. Well, the founders didn't realize there'd be Twitter. And so they didn't know that there would be these big, scary guns. The founders couldn't have imagined a world in which people could just go out and say whatever they wanted. Like, on the contrary, the founders, a bunch of them owned printing presses and did print whatever the heck they wanted to.
Right, exactly.
During the Revolutionary War, people literally did individually own cannons that worked.
Right. But we've got here now is guys like Jim Acosta trying the same old playbook and saying we need to call to arms. We need to, we need to stand up to power, etc. But the constituency that they had is gone. Right. People don't feel about Trump. Not enough people feel about Trump like they used to. They don't, especially since they've seen Biden. They've seen frauds like this guy cover for Biden. This is Jim Acosta telling management at CNN, you guys really need me now. Remember, I'm the one who stood up to Trump with the book. Remember, I had a book about it? But he's a fraudulent, talentless whore.
We are not the enemy of the people. We are the defenders of the people. Walter.
Defenders of the people who did everything they could to be the Iron Dome for the state at every moment.
Well, right. It's like they think that people being allowed to call them liars means there's no more First Amendment. Mm-hmm. Like, no, actually, that's part of the First Amendment is people being allowed to call you liars.
We're the defenders of the people. We called over to Illinois and asked them if there were people reading the cats and dogs, and the government officials told us, no, they're not. You see? That's not journalism.
Well, yeah, but like with the Second Amendment, they think that the Second Amendment means you can join the National Guard, and they think the First Amendment means you can work at CNN.
Exactly.
It doesn't, the rights, they don't think the rights in the Constitution go to human beings, people, citizens who live in the country.
Right, and that's why they're going, the last vestige of these people is saying, you hear Newsom and Biden both saying it. It's dangerous disinformation, misinformation. Dangerous disinformation, misinformation. In other words, the people have found a marketplace of debate and communication that is not them, that the government doesn't control anymore, and that is not CNN. When you used to have these silos that you had to get your news from, those days are over. Joe Rogan talking to a UFC fighter that most people don't even care to listen to, the people who just listen to it anyway, Rogan gets 10 times, 50 times, 1,000 times the listeners that Jim Acosta does of viewers. Because now Jim Acosta's over here saying, hey, it's crisis time.
Cronkite once said, freedom of the press is not just important to democracy, it is democracy. I want to take a moment to show you something. A woman sent me this sign 8 years ago. She carried it here at a march in Washington. She wrote on the back of the sign.
By the way, the front says, I march for Jim Acosta and a free press. And Jim's going to get emotional.
To me and the press here in D.C., you have our support. To Nora, wherever you are, right back at you. Reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta.
Reporting from Washington. What a freaking fraud game show host
pussy. Did they end up
pussy.
shutting the museum? Did that close? It did, right?
I think it did. It was always it was always closing.
Yeah, but Goodness, the Washington
By the way,
media. The Washington media, like everybody else in Washington, D.C., thinks that they're really, really important to the country.
Oh, they're the most. They're the most. It's absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. By the way, have I told you about this guy, Bessent,
Yeah.
who I think is fantastic?
Yeah, you played some of them earlier.
Let me play a little. This is Bessent now since audio is working. This guy is so great. Talked about his final ascent into trying to work for public service. This guy is just fantastic. This is absolutely going to work, just like the phones did today for my other show. Oh, it doesn't work. Isn't that interesting?
From
this
that
worked.
was
Was it always that one post that didn't work?
You okay?
I don't think so. Okay, public service. Hold on. Best public service. Service. It's right about now when upper management for Burn Barrel Inc. is now realizing that I'm the problem. We should probably talk about, guys, personnel changes and opportunities. Okay. Listen, David Leatherwood, I will never go to you again for any of this. Here we go.
when I wasn't here, someone put into question your viability as a nominee because of a lack of public service, which I find interesting. Sometimes I think we have too much public service in people's background here, not real world business experience. But can you give me an idea of why this nomination may represent your first entry into public service?
Yes, Senator Tillis. And again, as an adjacent state and someone who's a homeowner in North Carolina, I appreciated our conversation in your office. Look, I have been in public service, just not in the government. When I lived in New York, I was a strong supporter of a charter school called Harlem Children's Zone, which takes the young residents in a multi-block, gigantic block, keeps getting bigger area of Harlem, and takes them from cradle through high school. But I have found that my service,
you must know, this guy is a good-looking guy with the best haircut I've ever seen. Behind him is another good-looking guy with a great haircut. Mm-hmm. To his right is a child.
Anyone can write a check, or anyone that with my means can write a check. What has been fulfilling for me is mentoring many of these young people. I'm still in touch with them today. I was also a trustee for Rockefeller University, one of the great research universities in the world. I was on the executive committee and the chaired the investment committee. But sitting here today is especially meaningful for me because this is my third try at public service. In 1979, when I was 17 years old, I wanted to fight for my country. My father had just experienced extreme financial difficulties. I wanted to attend the U.S. Naval Academy. I was offered by our congressman in the 6th District of South Carolina an appointment, but was unable to take that appointment because of my sexual preference. I managed to go to Yale, worked several jobs to do that. While at Yale, I wanted to do public service and joined the Foreign Service. I was told also not welcome. So sitting here today is my third attempt at public service. And I sit here knowing that President Trump chose me because he believes I'm the best candidate, not because of my sexual preference, not because Treasury secretaries with green eyes do better. And I think it is a tribute to President Trump that he looks at people as people.
I'm a homosexual going forward. I want to live with him and his husband in that house in some capacity and be in the administration. This guy is brilliant, perfect, fantastic. It's a great story. And he did so well. That's why Chris Murphy called him
It's also, by the way, a very American story.
Yes.
And for all, we don't, quote unquote, have free healthcare, even though we sort of do anyway in a lot of ways. And we don't have, the welfare state that Europe has, and we don't take as long lunch breaks or whatever it is that they do in Europe that we don't do here. These stories mostly are here, where
Totally.
people decide they're going to make something of themselves and go. And JD Vance is another one who did this too, who has a past of difficulty and decides that they're going to rise above it.
Yes.
And see, so some people, sometimes the CPAP water is out and the machine doesn't work. And, they rise above their circumstances and hardships and they learn to overcome, right, honey? And look, he's even a little bit older than you because he said, he was 17 in 1979.
There you go.
So
that's right.
So you have time to make it as high in the world as he did. I think you're on the way.
People assume he's quite a lot younger than me. As far as Biden's talk about oligarchs, etc., last night, Megan McArdle had a great comment on Twitter. Said, if my son had been collecting $50K a month while I was VP for a job for which he had no obvious qualifications, I wouldn't go pointing it out. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth and power. It's totally true. Everybody's been talking about it. The fact that, Biden was making out with George Soros Jr. The other day. And, it's like nobody's buying this crap. I am so thrilled to see the shift that's happened. And this craziness, they got rid of, the FBI just got rid of its DEI chapters now. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing is they're trying to put the DEI people, get them other gigs inside the building. Right. Trump's already come out and said he's going to find him and whack him, and which I'm all for. It's like if you anything about you is DEI, that means you're a toxic auditor, and
right. You're looking for problems and to drag your workplace down, no matter if you're in the private sector or the public sector.
Totally,
that's what your whole department is there for.
Absolutely.
Is to cause problems for other people at work.
And the case in point, Alice, case in point.
That city councilor filing a complaint with Worcester's Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and they're taking a month-long break. They say it's for emotional and mental.
Now, they is not the Department of Equity Inclusion. That would call for a they. They is this dude, chick, whatever it is.
Till safety. Worcester City Councilor at Large Tu Nguyen taking a month-long mental health break, accusing the mayor and council of a toxic culture. Nguyen uses the pronouns they, them, and says it's not safe to show up to meetings in person.
I really, really wished I felt safe enough to show up on the council floor. But I don't.
Last night, when talking about remote participation, Nguyen accused the mayor and another councilor, Kathleen Toomey, of using the wrong pronouns. Nguyen also says Councilor Candy Merrill.
So when they say the wrong pronouns, they mean what?
Not they.
They mean the right pronouns.
Right.
Right.
Carlson repeatedly called them it.
I have faced transphobia.
You did. She said it because you gave her no choice because you're making up a whole new vocabulary set which changes from day to day, and nobody knows when they're going to run afoul of it. So they assume, if I call it, is that going to be? Because, it is so much more insulting than Zed, right?
Yeah, with being misgendered, and recently learned that I have been dehumanized to a point where I'm being referred to as it by my colleagues on this council.
Councilor Toomey says early on.
Welcome to politics. It's tough. People say mean things about you.
But also,
but if you but seriously, politics is just not for you. If being called it upsets you,
don't even give it this much credit. You guys, you elect an internal woke auditor whose whole life is the intersectionality of her victimhood, or its victimhood. Then what do you think it's going to do? Of course, it's going to go in in every building and make it all about it. That's what it's going to do. Of course. You invite these people. Don't you hire somebody who's fucking insane. And then they get into their seat and they act insane. And you're like, wow, this is a problem. You think? No more of this crap. No more of this crap. That's why you don't bring these morons in. It's all about them. Is the moment anybody says, it's not safe. I'm unsafe at City Hall. Your woke City Hall, you're not safe at anymore because somebody used a term that's not accurate according to your distorted reality.
Right.
I'm not safe anymore. Well, you pussy, whatever thing you are. It's like, God. Oh, Worcester blows anyway.
But that's when you elect people, aren't you hoping that you're electing somebody who can take being called a name without needing to step aside for a months-long mental health break.
To a person, Alice, you look at Mayor Wu in Boston. The moment the people in North End said, "Hey, this is BS," she said, "Oh, they're targeting me. I'm being targeted." This is all they have to go to. They impose absurd and cruel realities.
But like, if I was a hardcore liberal, I'd be mad that the hardcore liberal I elected to represent me was not like there and voting because they wimped out because someone called them a name.
Right.
Do you know how many names people used to call me when we lived in Melrose?
You know how many names people call you in this house?
Do you know how many names I get called in this room?
Correct. You have those coming, though. All right.
So, but I mean, I would be so mad if, I mean, like in this case, I'm glad because this person doesn't represent my views. So the fact that they're not going to be there voting is like fine with me. But if they do represent your views, aren't you annoyed that they can't hack it on this dangerous city council? Like, no one's trying to kill them at all. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, no,
they need to come and vote.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm watching. Waiting for one.
What are you looking at the chat?
Yes, I'm Mr. Chat.
You're
now.
really bad at looking at the chat while a show is.
Is there
happening.
any chicks in the chat?
Janet's in there, I think.
Is she? As who?
It's like PMO JMO or something.
Okay, here we go. More representation. I feel unsafe
and
in the
Phil
chat.
is Julie and Phil, so
I know, but I can tell which is him. I feel unsafe in the chat from now on. Snapping beer cans off people's heads. Here we go. We have to talk about that, by the way. What are we going to do for the show? Like, to be honest, do you think we're going to have a show? I mean, we have to get back here. Our daughter has play practice, etc. But like, how are we going to handle the show?
the show.
The show, the podcast.
I assume we'll just do a podcast.
You think so? That we're going to leave that place, and
Well, I'm going to leave that place to take Sally to play practice. She has to be at play practice at 5, so I'll be leaving there by 4 at the latest.
Mm-hmm. Next thing, listen. Here we go. But she wants to know why the girl on the show laughs at everything. Dude, the girl on the show, Alice, laughs at everything because I'm funny and handsome. This has been
So true.
Splash. This has been key to my successful abduction of Alice. This is we like this. Okay. I don't. You know what? The only thing I don't like about Rumble is it makes me look fat, Alice. Which I'm not, right?
Sorry about that.
Okay. Should we do the chat?
Yes.
Okay.
John at Wakefield says DEI comes to the chat.
Did it?
Well, because you're demanding
yes,
more
that's right.
female representation.
Yes. Let's go. I said, "Who cares? She's hot." My answer, but that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay. Where is the chat? Let's see. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. By the way, you know who's on the fence?
Who's on the fence?
Tim from Canton.
Oh, wow.
On the fence. He's committed to something else. His work term, he's getting FOMO. So let's keep the energy up. Pressure Tim from Canton into doing this.
I'll try.
You guys are certainly entitled to taking shots at Jill Biden when you read that story about her yesterday. And those are definitely merited because I think it was a little too overdramatic in terms of what she was saying. Mm-hmm. But isn't it any more clear that she voted for President Trump, especially when you saw her in the red dress on Election Day, and after hearing about her and Joe's feelings on Nancy Pelosi?
Totally.
Yeah, they got whacked out of office, but I think they definitely got the last laugh with Trump beating Kamala.
Here. Totally agree on everything. Absolutely. She was full of spite. She is so ticked off. I do like that. And that is a great on-point message from Steve from Gloucester, who, by the way, has RSVP'd.
That's exciting.
Correct.
All the Steves.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
I wanted to just bring up, you talk on the radio
Yes.
and this podcast for a living, and you
Yes.
can't sell anything? Like, you can't work a deal
Nope.
between you and some t-shirt folks for on-air mentions and,
So like I pitched to like 5 different people, and they came back with hard numbers and maybe a discount, whatever. But time was, and I used to have John Sapichetti doing the guy. Time was, it'll be all trade, all free. They still wanted like $500, and it's like $500 for like all these shirts. Is that great? Like, this is not a ticketed event. It's not like this kind of thing. So I was looking for full trade, free trade, and like the fact is that when we did the hot sauce, you guys bought the hot sauce, and I still buy the hot sauce, and a lot of you still buy the hot sauce. So like, there is a business model. That said, when you're talking about a podcast trade, a lot of people feel, and look correctly in a way, that they're taking a risk by giving you something, t-shirts, for what could be nothing, mentions.
Right.
So they don't know, although I do think it would have worked out for them. But so, yeah, that was it. It was pitch, counter, pitch, over. It was like they were not... maybe they're doing really well. The business is doing real well. I don't even know. I don't know. But no, I'm not a salesman, Dr. Cheswick.
exchange for 50 shirts? I don't get that. You talk all the time.
I know.
You lie
I'm not a salesman.
to Alice and your kids all the time. How can that be?
Hold on.
That you talk all the time. You lie to Alice and your kids all the time.
Correct.
How can that be? I don't understand. How's your oil hole, Tom? That was another question I had. Just wanted to say...
What's that from? What's your oil hole?
Because you were asking for what the word for an oil hole is.
Really?
Yes. Like where oil comes out of.
Oh, that's right. That's right. What? But, yeah.
I suggested oil well.
Yeah, but it's not a well until it's been...
You mean like a tar pit?
No, I don't want a tar pit. Oh, God, did that suck.
I loved the look for a tar pit.
Oil hole, Tom. That was another question I had. Just wanted to say, I hope you guys have a great party on Monday. I won't be there. I'm going to my conference.
No.
Which will not be as fun because, it's hookers and coke and it's endless. Oh, God, STD shots. It's all of that.
There we go.
So have lots of fun and DJT forever.
Here we go, Dr. Cheswick. If you change your mind, I can promise you, as a matter of fact, that there will be a certain level of hookers and coke at our party as well. So
there won't
please
be.
Come. Yes, there will.
No.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Tom, I'm with you on Jasmine Crockett. I've always found her to be very pretty.
Yes.
And crazy.
Yes.
Which is the combo you really want.
Yes.
Thank you. And an update. Den of Thieves 2, extremely disappointing. Sorry. Okay. I give it the Steve from Merrimack 2 stars out of 4.
Wow.
Ooh.
Overlong. The final 30 minutes is fantastic, but you got to go like 2 hours before that. Ungood. And the Methuen Theater was actually very clean.
There we go.
No rats running around. It seemed just fine. The seats worked fine. So let not your heart be troubled, as Sean Hannity always says about going to that theater. It was clean as a whistle. Thank you.
Does Sean still throw the footballs around? Remember for a while he started to, after he 86'd Combs, he started throwing footballs into the audience. I don't know if that's something he really does. But Sean Hannity always been good to Tom Shattuck. So
looking at the thing, we're up to 88. So
here we go.
Let us know if you're going to come. We could easily end up over 100.
Yes.
Some people bring kids and whatever. Very exciting.
You know what we can do? It'll be like the Boston Tea Party, but the Wakefield Tea Party. And we'll all just get bleep-faced and march on Wakefield Common and do our own insurrection on Wakefield Common.
No.
You don't think that's...
No, I'm going to be taking Sally to play practice at 5. But I'm so excited to see everyone. One more show before the big day. Do you ever, like, one of those things like kiddo that adults say is like how many more sleeps until something? 2 more more sleeps until the weekend?
I feel like our kids say that. I don't hate it.
How many more sleeps until the party?
3 sleeps?
Tonight, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. 4 more
4
sleeps
nice.
until the party. 4 sleeps, but only 1 more burn barrel. We look forward to seeing you guys there. Have a great night.
C'est la vie.